click this to check out. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, this is beautiful Hawa Mahal, I think so. Jaipur's Hawa Mahal,
Yes, sir.
likely. Yeah. So what we are going to do today is good thing. So let me start with the Visual Studio. So create a new project. Blazor web application. Next. And so just a moment. Let me close whatever I have in my computer. Now, many times you have seen that usage of data grids, okay? Data grids are very important tool for any kind of application, whether that is web or Windows. So data grids are really important. So now what I'm going to do is that use data grid capability in Blazor. Now there is no such native capability of data grid in Blazor. There is no such native capability, but we can have some controls. So let me show you step by step how to do what to do. But for that, we need to be creating our database, right? So that's the first requirement. So let me create the models and data folder first. So let me get into a project. First of all, let me name this just properly. I'll call it, just a moment. Let me call it just the way I have in my computer so that I can just copy and paste and it should work. Blazor app Radzen DataGrid with database. Okay, Radzen. So this is Radzen control. We are going to be using this Radzen, right? So it's a third-party control, but it is free. And clicking next, I have seen people using this. And this interactive server model to server, and I'll click create. One more thing, I'd like to quickly see your SQL Server, which you are using the SQL version. As of now, you just have employee DB and the student management DB. Refresh it. We just have these two. Okay. Now let me minimize this. The very first thing we will do is to create a database, and we'll follow some standard rules, standard procedure. So this is like repetition of the things. So first of all, we are going to be creating a folder models. I'm not using the entire architecture here. So I'm creating the server project and the client project in the same project, but that is fine. I'm not creating any API for this guy. So models and data folders. Model folder will contain the model of a project, and data folder will contain the data context, right? So these are the things that we'll have. So let me come to our models project folder and create our employee class. This is my employee class, employee. And now that you want to replace it with the code that I have. I'm doing some more investigations, more things with Blazor, because Blazor is really indeed so much important. Blazor is like it's a booming thing now, just nowadays, and a lot of changes have happened since the first version of Blazor. So employee, so this is an employee class. We just want to keep only one class, and just that is fine for the demonstration. And then we would like to have the data class. Now, before I have the data class will be basically the AppDB context class. So let me create this class, but all the functions may not be able to be created right now. Okay, let us keep it like that. And then let us go into our dependencies, add nugget packages, and add all our like all the basic packages. Start with core 9.05, install, apply, accept. So all the essential packages will now be installed. And then we have this core installed. We'll be having this SQL Server installed too, which is 9.052. And then the tools installed. Okay, we have installed all of the necessary things that we should have. Now, what next we will do is, we know that our application will require our database live connection. So that need to be created right here. And that will be a connection string. All right, SQL Express, because yours is SQL Express too. Local means your local computer. Database is Blazor DB. So this database will be created automatically. And the trusted connection to trusted service certificate true will be created. Now it's not there. So we can now go ahead and create this database, but I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to be creating using some migration commands. So yeah, of course. So I'm using all the advanced things. No more simple thing. Okay. All the advanced thing, the way we do in the real life. And so Blazor, this will, so we are all following the code first approach now, no database first approach. I have done database first approach many times, scaffolding stuff. That works, of course, not a problem. But this is more into play right now. So we have done this. Now that we will come to this AppDB context and make it go big. You can just write it DB context. Control dot using entity framework core. And now probably if your GitHub Copilot was on, which I don't think you have not signed in, it would have given you the codes, but that's fine. Next thing is to create the class. The first two things are very important, which is what is the constructor and the DB set, the database set, right? The constructor and the DB set. This DB set is the database set, and this is the table. We can have many sets. We know that. You just know that we can have many of them. But now just have one. Now you want to be helping migration command to be able to, to be able to generate all our data, and for that we need on model creating to be specifying few of the data. So I'm going to be copying and pasting some 10 to 12 data. There we go. So we have got some employees data. There's nothing special. Alice, Bob, Catherine, Daniel, Ila, Jack, Liam, Mia, Ethan, Oliver, Paul, Quincy, right? And they're all having some designation: software engineer, HR manager, recruiter, sales manager, graphic designer, front-end developer, backend developer, right? So that is the designations, and the departments are quite repeating, like IT, many ITs. Just want to show you the data, how it looks like, support and HR. Okay, so these are a few data. Now how many? There are 17. Just notice this. It's a great thing you are learning today. Let me tell you. So right now we have it all, but we still do not have one more thing. That is, we want to be creating our migration script. For migration script, we have to be coming to package manager console, which is what you already have because we have been doing this many times. And then in the package manager console, we need to write that, add migration. I can call it anything because we have initial data, seeded data. I can call it initial create. This is not a command that you always have to write initial create, just the name of the first script getting generated. Initial create. Initial create script, I can say, or whatever. Now hitting enter, what it should do, build has started, but look one thing, if it succeeds or not, build has started, but it did not do anything further, it has failed. Unable to create DB context of type, runtime type, so it could not. So why it is saying of runtime type execution, unable to resolve service subtype, entity framework, DB context options, and trying to create some runtime type. So why this failure? Can you please quickly answer me? Why migration command failed? What would be your thought? Tell me. Just answer me why migration command failed.
For different patterns of design time. Context of type.
So far, what we have done, we created a project, Blazor Server project, interactive server project, okay, not the WASM one, the interactive server one. And then we had this data folder, model and data folder. Model folder contains all the models, all the employees and everything, whereas the data folder would contain the main AppDB context, right? This is the AppDB context. And then we specified that this is the data context, inherits from this data context, and then we have all the things that it should have, all the important data and everything. We have mentioned it here. The problem started cropping up. After that, we wanted to create script out of this code. Okay, this is a code, not a script, but we want to create script. Migrations are not known as code; they are scripts. This is a code which is run by the software system. Our ultimate application APIs and everything will use them, right? But migration commands are scripts. They are C# code. They are C# code on the script. But who will use? They will be used by this tool, like migration tools, right? Like update database. So update database is the command which takes in that script, reads it, and it dumps table structure and data into the SQL Server, right? So C#, the only one place where C# is a script. C# is never a script, it's a programming language, but it is a script for migration. In the migration world, it's a script because it is generating a script. Microsoft might have thought that, okay, let us create some other script, maybe XML or something. Then they thought, why XML? Why not C#? Let us create the C# script itself because C# is easy to understand and people do develop on it, right? So C# script will be generated based on this type, and this script will again be used by another migration command to do what? To do actual some database update, right? To do some database update. My question to you is that what made this failure here? Why isn't script getting created? Why isn't script getting created?
Like build is succeeded, sir. But if we update it, will
build definitely succeeded. There's no doubt in it. But the script is not able to be created. What is going on? What is mistake? What is the mistake? Well, the script would like to know. Script would like to know where is your app data context. What is your app DB context? Even though you have written it, even though you might say that I write it here, like this is the script, but your script cannot see here directly because you might have written many of them. So script want to know that which context class, where, what is your class? You need to specify the class, right? You need to be specifying your class that this is my class, right? This is my class. This is my app DB context class. Generate script out of it. Okay. This is my app DB context class. And this is the reason why we come to program.cs and register our AppDB context. So this is the thing you
Right,
could
sir.
not say. So you need to be
That is
registering it right here,
builder.size is not.
right? The first thing, so you need to understand things step by step, right? So we need to be saying that, okay, this is my connection string, whatever you have named it. I have named it default connection string. So here we have it, default connection string, right? We need to mention this because this, tools and all, it really looks into this program.cs and try to figure out that what is the connection string. Right? So after that, I hope that you understood it right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that whenever you write this, the first thing it does, it moves into the program.cs file and checks if there is any such class which is of type appdb context. What is that class? And furthermore, where is the database connection string? You might think that, okay, we have configured this database connection string and that should be enough. Telling a database connection string tells nothing about the class. It tells nothing about the class. So it just says that there is a database connection string, that's it. It tells you nothing about the class, right? So now if I hit enter, look into the program, it'll first compile. The first job is to compile. Why compiles? Because it compiles to, now you see, build successful. Did it so fast. It says that to undo, your computer is fast. That is this reason it did very fast. So the script has been generated. And you can see all the code, whatever you have written, all the things, the table structure, the column, the nullable. So this is a script. This script will be used by your project, right? By your program. This script will be used by a program to run. No, this script will not be used by a program to run. This script is useless, just got no use, nothing. Only apart from the migration script to read it, execute it, dump the data to the database, and then the script can be deleted. We can even delete the script, right? So this script has got no meaning. So you can anytime remove migration. If you say remove migration, the last thing will be deleted, right? So if you want to say, okay, I want to remove the migration, the last migration will be removed. Anyway, so what we now want to do is update database based on the last unapplied migration. So once I update database, it checks out that what is the last migration which was created but not applied still. And when I hit this, now this is creating the SQL commands and everything done. So at this point of time, you have a database with the name of BlazorDB, and it is right here. Refresh. There we go. BlazorDB created, right? The BlazorDB created with two tables. One is the migration history, which is always there, and the actual table, which is employee. You can clearly see that it has understood being an ID. It has been marked as a primary key, and the name and the designation and the department, they're all termed as max. I mean, this is the only bad thing about migration command. It's not a bad, it doesn't know that how big they will be. So they always mark them as max, max, max. I mean, it can take as large as possible. No worries. Right? So hopefully you got the idea now. Now, the next thing will be that, so now that our application is ready for the database stuff, it's absolutely ready. So the next thing will be to integrate Radzen to our project. Okay, integrate Radzen. Now we are going into the which part? We are going to the UI part. Yes. For that, you need Radzen.Blazor. Please know the spelling. It is rad. Just red, blue, R-A-D, not red, but R-A-D, rad. Radzen. Okay. So let me right click on this dependencies again. Manage NuGet packages. Search for this guy. There you go. This is the icon, please remember, kind of this orangish icon. Okay, Radzen Blazor. This is a great tool. The recent version is 7.05. Okay, and I can install it. This is a free tool. Apply. Accept. Okay, so Radzen has been installed. So let's see what are the tools that have been installed so far. Double clicking on this project will show you have installed core, you have installed SQL Server, you have installed tools, you have installed the Blazor as well. Sorry, this Radzen Blazor as well. So this is the thing that we have already installed. Great. All right. So after that, what we next should do? What is the next step that we should do? The next step is there are a few things that we should do right at this point. So the very first thing that we should do, even without failing, but this is a mistake that I've done, is to enable, because Radzen is actually something that is based on Bootstrap. So it will require the CSS to be included, right? Now you don't have the CSS, you don't have a folder which has the CSS, but a virtual folder will automatically be created and will automatically be served to the client, right? So this, we don't have any such CSS. The Bootstrap is a library, and you can see Bootstrap distribution. That's all you have, right? That's all you have. But what we need to do, we need to tell the system is that please use two of the very vital, bootstraps, CSS and JS as well. So let me show you what to do, where to do that. For that, please come to your project, expand the components. You have this app.razor. App.razor is the basic page. This is the shell of your project. It has a head, it has a body, it has routes, and saying interactive server to interactive server. So everything that fits in this route will automatically work. We have some head outlet as well, so that we can do some head things, head scripts, page to page. Okay, interactive server mode again. Okay, so now here we need to write something, and here after the last code we need to write something. See, this is giving out that framework Blazor web.js. Okay, neither of these folder you'll find. You'll not find something like underscore framework. I think I talked about this. You'll never find this folder anywhere. You'll never find them, but you can somehow get them. So now we need to be doing two things here. Let me copy and paste for you. The first thing is that you need to be including a style sheet. Who will remember them? Nobody will remember them. We have to be including the style sheet. Content, Radzen, Blazor, CSS, Blazor.css. Okay. So this is the thing that we need to have. Content, Radzen, Blazor, CSS. The second thing here, so that's a style sheet that got included. The next thing that we should have is a script, Radzen, Blazor, and this is what we should have, right? Right, script, content, Radzen, Blazor. Don't memorize. No one memorize this. Everybody copies and paste. From everyone, A to Z, everyone on internet will only copy and paste. There is no way of remembering everything. Right? We should remember how to work things. The rest of the things are taken care by the machines and all. So content, Radzen, Blazor, CSS, the folders. All you know that these folders are virtual folders. They're nowhere here. Okay, just know them. So this is one important thing that we have done. Okay. So what are the other things that we should do? The next thing that we should definitely do about the Radzen is to have all our services injected. Yes, all the services, all the essential services to be injected. And for that, we should come to our program.cs, and just after this should add them, right? You can see that builder.services. We have this add scope. dialog service, notification service, tooltip service, and this. They all are a part of what? Part of the Radzen tool. You can hover the mouse cursor, it will show you that Radzen dialog service. Contains various methods and options to open and close dialog, should be added as a scope service. And yep, so therefore we added as a scope service, should be added in the application main layout, right? I'm sorry, and then contains methods within the notification, should be added as a scope service. Okay, so it's all kind of notification service. Okay, you can read them. Contains various methods of open to open notification. Tooltip service opens and close tooltips. Okay, context menu service, as you understand, close context menus. Do you know what are context menus, by the way? Any idea? You know what menus are?
Yes, sir. Menus I know, but
Hmm.
context.
Context menu. Context menu in Windows, if the context menu is not just something with .NET. Menu is what you get like this. Click on this, you get something, and then open something, right? Click on this, you have this menu. So these are basically main menu. We call them main menu. Context menu is what? It's a floating menu. Like let's say you want to be getting some information on this. So right clicking on this will get this. So this guy is a context menu. Menu that pops up like this are known as context menus. Right? Like here, if you right click, that's the context menu. So should know these little terms. So they're all added as scope service. Scope services are services which are absolutely fine to work with. It preserves this information within the scope of an application's request. So once the request comes in and the request is served, that is one single scope. Okay. So within that scope, we should be able to remember things. You can think scopes as little sentences, right? So you can think that as I start a sentence, I don't mess with that, right? So our brain connects the words and we know that what we have spoken, so we don't go something wrong, right? So you can think as sentence as a scope. So many sentences will make it like a session. Like right now, I'm in a session with you. So you know, so there are like many sentences I'm speaking. So every sentence is a scope by itself, right? Whereas you know, every word is a single stuff. So if you do add transient, so that means in a sentence itself will forget. You start a sentence, then you forgot how you started a sentence, right? So you know, having very less temporary memory for those people who start a sentence then forget what they have started with, right? So that's the kind of thing. So every request you can think as a very short, crisp, to the point request to the server, and that request takes place in some milliseconds of time, 10 to 12, 13, 15, maybe 1 second. It depends on how long is the job in that request. And the job is done, the request is terminated, and the scope is dead. Then again, another request. That means you click something from the browser. So from the click to coming of the data, this is one scope. Okay, just think about it. So clicked on the something on the button, and then it went to the server, created the response, and it has come to your browser. This is one request. So one request is one scope, right? So one request is one scope. Now within that request, we don't want to forget things. If you have created something in some class while the request is getting processed, and we don't want to be forgetting things while the request has started. So that is scope service basically. So you want to keep them as scope services. Okay, all good. Now next what? Next is to create a Blazor component. And there are so many steps that it is easy to forget. So I'm thinking if I'm not forgetting, I've forgotten anything. So in the pages, in this pages folder, I'm going to be creating a new stuff, which is employee grid, right? Let me right click on this pages, click add the pages and new Blazor component, which is employee grid. So employee grid control got added grid. Now what we want to do with this employee grid, we want to be first of all, we want to have this employee grid. We want to have this employee grid to be used as this, employees, right? So whenever somebody connects to employees, we want to read. Now, very important thing. Now a couple of things will come, which is interesting. Now, first of all, I like to have this example go in a simple way first. So we should be definitely be having a few things that we should be using this Microsoft.Entity Framework core. So I should be incorporating here. AppDB context is what it could not understand. Again, hitting control dot will tell me, okay, are you going to use these? And you can see there are several using stuff coming, right? Using stuff coming. Now, one thing, Raju, we can always do is instead of, because now there will be other components in this project, they might also use the same data folder. They might also use the same entity framework code folder. So it will always be wise to, because if we have repetition, which is naturally the case, we will not keep them here. Instead, we come to your layout, and I'm sorry, we'll come to this imports.tracer, and we will include them here. Okay, there's a common place, and we'll include more of the stuff. Let me show you the stuff that we will really import. So yeah, so we are going to be importing more. We need to be importing our data folder, the models folder, the Radzen Blazor, and the Radzen itself. So all of these things should be there. We already have this data folder, so I should be, yeah, getting like this. Okay. So include entity framework code, which is important because we will use them in a control. We are doing entity commands directly in our page, which is actually not recommended. Usually, let me tell you the thing that is not recommended. We'll be using AppDB context right in here. Since this is a server project, this is easy, we can do it. But a WASM project cannot do this. You know it. A WASM project cannot even talk to database here. But since this is a non-WASM project, this is a Blazor server component, which is just fine most of the cases. Why should we overburden us with WASMs and all? While because most of the time we are working with web applications and we don't need the things. But but sometimes, yes, this is important to have WASM capability calling only APIs. Our project that we started, was totally in that architecture. Even though we are using the Blazor server, but we are making sure that we are not calling any database calls, nothing in the UI itself. Okay, so this is an UI. We should not do. We should be connecting to an API and do this. But for the sake of demonstration, it is fine. We are injecting the AppDB context and we're using this context here. So all good. So how we got this AppDB context? How we are injecting it? Because we added it. Look at this, because we added it. If you have never added, you could never have injected, right? You have already added this. I think it will be, I should add this before we do this. That makes sense. They first have configured the database stuff, okay? And then we have added the Radzen stuff, okay? So all of them are Radzen stuff. Right? Write it down. So all Radzen services are added. Okay, these are Radzen services. Radzen, R-A-D-Z-E-N. Sorry, R-E-D-Z-E-N, right? Radzen components are added. So we have integrated everything: the code, the data, the folder, the Radzen, and the Radzen Blazor. I think I should be doing it other way around. Should be good way. Yeah. All right, Radzen and the Radzen Blazor. So all of those things have been added. Now coming to this folder. Okay. And what we should do is particularly here is employees from database And just a second, what I should do is, okay, yeah, employees from database. Now, there is the important part here now. We should be adding the Radzen control. Now, this is going to be wonderful. So let me add this Radzen control here. Okay, so added this Radzen control here. Now it requires the grid employees, the type that it is working with, which is employee, which is fine. And the paging, you are saying that you want to allow paging, you want to allow sorting, allow filtering. You want to have a filtering capability with non-sensitive, case sensitive, it is non-sensitive. You want to say what columns you want to bound with employees. Okay, bound with these columns, designation, and all. So this is the Radzen control. This is great. We don't have to write any bit of big code, just that you use Radzen control, configure this properly, and it will be working. And now we need to be writing the code. Okay, so this code part will now contain the code stuff. So let me show you what code you should be having. Just a moment. Yeah. Oops, sorry. All right, so let me plug this code in here. This is the code. Now look at this, very simple. First of all, it's saying that this guy has to be written, that ref is this grid. Somehow it will be connecting with this private Radzen grid. All right. So we don't new this up. Note that we haven't new this up. I mean, we haven't done this as new or something. This is not recommended. Okay. However, the employees initially is newed up like that. So that means initially there is none, no employees, and then we are connecting with a remote database here, context.employees.toList. You can think this as an API call. You can think of it, I mean, the same way. We are directly using the context, but instead of that, think about the services, the something, the employee call. We have already seen that in our code in the employee management project. And that data has been assembled here. So it will replace this employees with a real good data. And that's it. Let me run and show you that how this brilliant move has done everything for us. Now that we don't have a link here, we also like to have a link. Let's come to this nav menu, copy everything. Just call it employees. And also call it employees. Right. There we go. Employees connected. Great. Employees from database. You can see this paginations has already been inbuilt.
Yes, sir.
This has been built. Many people who think that how to do this. If you want to be searching for those guys in IT, you can click on this filter icon. You can say contains IT. You can apply this change and you'll see all the IT guys. So that's how it works, right? So you can filter, you can clear the searches if anything, right? You can clear, because this is a little bit orangey, so that means a filter has been applied. You can clear this up to get it back to what it was. So you can clearly see how beautifully data has come. But there is a little, what to say, a little cost for this, okay? Little cost. What is the cost? If there are 10,000 records, all the 10,000 records will first come into our application. And after that, this will work. right? So all the records, trust me, all the records are now with the system, right?
Mm.
So that means if there are many records, this will take some time to come and hit the application server. So if there are many records, it will definitely not be a good idea. So it will come, it will hit the server, it will take some time. So this guy, as you can see, will extract all record, will get every rows, every records from the database. And then it will do a local pagination. But we really want the pagination should happen on demand. Let only 5 records be brought from the server, first of all. And then on demand, we want to get the next 5 and next 5 and next 5, right? That's what we want. Correct. Let's only the first 5 record be fetched, and then we want to get next 5, next 5, next 5, as and when required. As and when required. Correct. So this thing is very simple, very easy to integrate, but with more and more data, this will not be a good idea. So what we can do essentially is do some changes. Now for that, there will be some changes definitely. Now I'm going to keep this entire thing. I just want to comment this, and this entire thing too, I'm going to comment. Okay. Control key C. So now I will be creating another Radzen control, which will be adaptive. So meaning to say that it will load records from the system on demand. So this will do on demand stuff. How can I do this? Let me paste this. And you will see this time, I don't have the data stuff here. I have the data stuff here. I have an extra count stuff here. The data stuff is still there. The data stuff is still there. We still have the employees, but this employee isn't all 100,000 records. This is just only a snapshot. And count says how many records you have in total. So you need to tell. Earlier thing, you didn't say the count because it automatically got it from these employees. If there are 10,000 record, and if you want to page size by 5, it will right now divide 10,000 by 5. It will know how many pages should be there. It will divide automatically. System will divide it. But here we are just passing only the necessary data, employees, and we are saying that we are still saying the page size definitely, but we also have to say what is my record count. We need to tell that, and the record will be loaded in fly by calling of this load data. Right, this load data is important. So we call this load data, and the data gets loaded in fly. So what are the steps that we should do now? Well, very and simple. We should be using some other set of code. We are going to be now be having, first of all, let me have the same thing, almost the same thing that we had. The grid, yes. The employees, yes, but this time I did not do new. And the count variable, yeah. All privates, they're all privates. Now what we should do is we should be having a load data function to be created like this. We need to be creating a load data function. This is the function that will be called by this guy, right? So this will be the function that will be called, right? So now we need to be having some code inside. The first thing is, okay, let me copy and paste the code now. I could have copied and pasted the whole thing, but I'm resisting myself. Otherwise, you'll see, oh my gosh, so much of code, what it did. So, so this grid is something that an UI stuff that will be bound to this. This gives a hint, this Radzen control, that it follows this grid syntax, and I don't know why it has been there, but that is how it is. It just strictly says that this Radzen control is working with employees. And then again, we have got this list of employee, which is the actual source of data. And the count is how many records are there. So you can see that we have this code going. Now you need to understand this code. This context.employee.I queryable. See, earlier time, what we had is context.employees dot to as list async. But this time we have context.employees. So did that load all the records? No. If we have this, this will execute everything. But this, if you write it as I queryable, this is not going to get you all the records. This is just a query. This is still not executed. So this is just a query, but did not execute so far. Then what we're saying is we're applying all kinds of filters. Look at this ARGS arguments. So whatever you click, we clicked on that filter icon. You just remember filter, we changed to IT and did something sorted. I did not show you that we can even use the sorting. We can click and the things will be automatically be sorted. So all those information that we did, this is actually an event handler. This load data, which is this load data event ARGS. Look at this. This is actually a function. Event callback, if you realize that, event callback and load data args. So this is basically a function. Load data is an event. This happens every time and any time the Radzen system changes. That is, you are clicking some new page, clicking some 1, 2, 3, 4, some new page, or you are clicking the sorting icon, you are clicking the filtration and applying. So whatever action you are doing on this Radzen stuff, okay, this is what will be that information will be mitigated to this load data. Load data, this. So this load data is an event, and load data is the function. So you can name this function anything, of course, it's up to you. So this is an event handler. This responds against the load data event. I think this is an event and this is the event handler. So this is what get called. And when it gets called, the Radzen has provided you some valuable information, args, that what you really want to do right now. What has happened to that control? Did somebody click the first page, next page, what page, whatever. Earlier time, we had that information. We actually, we just did everything in the on initialize async. We did not use this function at all. But this time we are using this function. This is a very important function. We can always use that, right? And this args has got many essential information. If you hit dot, you'll see it has got filters, whether you wanted to order by something, whether you want to skip certain rows, sorting, how many rows you want to see, top 5, top 10, right? See, all this important information will be passed to this event handler load data. And as a result of it, you'll see that data, first of all, we have the query, and then we are doing an order by on it. Okay, we are making the query, just you want to make the query a little bit more, what to say, just make it more, we're just filtering on that query. When you order by this, order by stuff, if you want to order by something. And finally, we also want to know that how many count async, I mean, in this query, how many rows are there, count async. So in this way, you get the count. Okay, count. So that actually calls the database. Okay, internally, this does some stuff. So on this query, if this is the query, then how many rows you'll get? But still now you did not get any row. You understand? At this point, you'll start getting the rows. So query dot skip. How many to skip? To skip this skip. If this is defined, otherwise skip nothing. And take how many? Take top, some top. If you have mentioned how many to take, just mention this. Otherwise, take the 5, first 5. Okay. And at this time, list async. So this list async is now here. This time, it really executed the thing in the databases, skipping certain rows, taking few rows. You understand that here the pagination has happened. If I tell you that we have got many rows, and if I tell you that skip the first 100 records and take the next 5 records. So that means basically you are on certain page, right? If I say skip 5 record and take next 5 record, then which page are you in? If I say skip 5 records and take the next 5 record, then which page are you in?
6 to 10.
No, that is right, 6 to 10. But I'm telling you which page you are in. If I tell skip the first 5 records and take the next 5 records, then which page?
Skip 5, sir. Take
Second
6.
page. Second page.
Right.
Second page. First page is like skip nothing and take 5. Second page is skip 5 and take 5. Third page is skip 10 and take 5. Fourth page is skip skip 15 and take 5. So that is what it is telling you. Skip what, take what, skip what, take what. That automatically does the paging. So easy, so beautiful. It takes you to these employees and the job is done. So every time we are calling this, every time there will be a call to the database, every time you'll get a new set of employees, fresh set of employees. So that also guarantees us that we get fresh set of employees every time. All right, we get fresh set all the time. Right, we get fresh and fresh all the time. So if I run this, you'll see now. This of course works. And this time it might look the same way. It is looking the same way. But if I click, you'll notice that I'm in the, now let me click on this second, but let me set a breakpoint here to show you that this is really getting called every time. Let me click on this second. It has stopped here. And if you hover the mouse cursor on this, you'll see that, okay, take top 5, skip the 5, right? Skip the first 5, right? So this entire thing is executing as a result of that. See, executing. And now you got the records here. Of course, you got the records. You got those 5 records now, starting with this record ID 6, right? Record ID 6, record ID 7 to record ID 10, right? Jack Miller. And that will definitely alter the UI from Frank to Jack Miller, right? You can even do filtering. Let's say you want to click here, filter. As I click on filter, it will come here. It will tell you that what you want to filter. It says order by name async, right? Sorry, name ascending, right? So that information will go into it. That information will be taken inside it. Name async, order by. So argument is like this. What is the argument? Order by argument. So order by argument is saying that order by argument dot order by. So this order by is saying name ascending. So if we just write order by name ascending, if we just pass this query dot order by, anytime you write query dot order by this guy, the query will automatically do that thing for you. Okay. So now if I execute it, so the query has changed. Right now, no execution has happened. Just that there is a query, you are changing. So that was the base query, and you want to say query. So that is the first basic query. And that we are saying query dot order by is a new query. So you are giving birth to a new query. And that new query is now will be taken query dot count. That count is 17. Okay, the count async. So original query. So you have ordered by, that didn't change the fact that you have got 17 records. Okay. And after that, you are querying, making this query. So this is the query that is original query. And it's saying that, okay, Mr. Query, please skip on this query, skip these records and take them. So this is the query on which we are saying that, okay, skip so many records and take this. So when this is getting executed on the main query, this will automatically do that skipping and you'll get employees only 5, right? And this is happening all the time. And you'll see that sorted now. See, sort. Sorting is happening. So isn't it great to see how nice it is working? So I hope that you got a good understanding of this Radzen control and how this whole thing work, right?
Yes,
So that was it for today. Hopefully you got a good idea about migration, many things I just told you. And we can even do more things. We can, that's up to us now that we can configure this. Only thing is that we need to configure Radzen. I've seen people using this Radzen control.
mm-hmm.
Like a year back, a guy from Noida and Delhi asked me questions that he had some Radzen control. So he was using Radzen extensively on his project. So he
Mm-hmm.
had a, you know, company project. So that was it, Raju, and we'll see again
Okay, sir.
later. Okay. Yeah. Bye bye.
That's I need to check.
Welcome.
Millions of person used to supply. Mobile first designer accept. Let's see. Okay. Not just for that.